Welcome back to the Pax What She Said podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Maggie Loney, joined as always by nobody. Perry's stuck on a train in the middle of New York, so we're doing it by ourselves tonight to see what happens. I put out the bat signal, so I'm hoping that some of my friends in the Packer sphere will be logging on any second now. Sent out the StreamYard, just shot it into the universe to see if anybody wants to hop on. Oh my goodness, we have our first guest, Dan Kotnick. Dan, you're here. We're going to talk Packers Broncos.
Hooray.
I was going to say you picked the worst possible time to come on and join live, but thanks for being here.
Thanks for the DM.
Yeah, I was just telling, everybody watching on live that I put out the Packer bat signal and I was going to see who showed up to talk about the game, and you're our first one. So very exciting.
I feel honored.
Possibly our only one. So we'll see. Perry, stuck in the middle of a train.
I'm here until my daughter wakes up.
Okay.
And
Fair.
needs a passy back. So
okay. Well, we'll try to do this quick.
Fair warning.
Hey, I get it. Both of mine are asleep upstairs.
We both uniquely get it, I think.
Okay. Lots to talk about. But I am personally, I think, more optimistic than most after this one. And I know that seems really stupid and hard to say after losing a cornerstone piece of your franchise, but I don't like being doom and gloom about something that's supposed to make me happy. So I think that we can talk about all the ways that this is going to suck, but I think we can also talk about the ways that maybe the Packers will be okay too.
If this is your show, so I'll follow your lead.
Okay.
I think you and I are yin and yang on this. I understand your point about enjoying the things that are supposed to make us happy. My counter to that was I was raised Catholic for 12 years. And so the things that are supposed to make me happy, I'm also supposed to feel bad about deep down. So I'm just, it's really hard for me. Just like I see it as like a real just like probability standpoint, like the probability of like the margin for error, that size of the probability of margin of error of what the amount of mistakes you can afford to make just shrunk astronomically at this point. And it feels like, you could have probably picked like 2 or even 3 of the guys that have gone on IR now to go there and say like, oh, this team can still compete. This team can still do things. You take all of those guys off of this team, especially now with only 3 weeks left in the regular season. I just can't see a way forward for this team, even in a weak NFC where like I feel good about everything. Losing Devontae Wyatt, I'm like, okay, you still have Micah Parsons. But now it's like now this defensive line is back to where it was like last year, and it's even worse than it was last year. And I just can't see a way forward where this ends positively,
Yeah, I mean, like I think a lot of people cling to the 2010 comps with, the roster that they had and the players that they lost. And I get that. I certainly don't think that this season ends in a Super Bowl for what it's worth. But I do think that there is a clear path to the playoffs. I think this team can still be competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Jeff Hafley does. I'm sure Dusty is on bedtime duty with his own kids, but he and Mina Kimes had a back and forth today on Blue Sky about Edger and Cooper starting to see some traction in the blitz. Look who else! Look, we put up the bat signal. Everyone's coming, guys.
Wow.
Andy Herman is here.
Hello, how's it going, guys?
We're talking about whether or not we should be doom and gloom about the Packers. I am not doom. Dan is gloom.
I'm very much. I'm wearing black. I'm in mourning all day today.
You should be doom and gloom. It's been great talking to you guys. I'll see you guys later.
Wait in. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a choose your own adventure. I think everyone's mileage is going to vary a little bit depending on where they're at. I think for most Packers fans, we went into this season and certainly even up until like the third quarter of this game, having Super Bowl expectations. And it's not one of those things where a loss in the NFC Championship game or the divisional round or the wild card round or maybe even the Super Bowl quite gets you to that point you want to go to. So it just depends on where you're, again, where you feel that this team can get to. And if you feel like all equity is lost for a Super Bowl champion, then yeah, I feel like you probably are going to be more in that doom and gloom category. If you're holding out hope that, hey, this thing could still happen. Nobody's eliminated until they're eliminated. You have every opportunity to go out and still win it. Then yeah, you maintain that hope, even if it's a flicker of what it was maybe 24 hours or 29 hours ago, whatever it is now. So, yeah, I think it's just where everyone's fandom is at and what their expectations are for the rest of the season.
So I want your guys' perspectives on this because I've seen a mixed bag, right? And that's what happens with absolutely everything on the internet, whether it's football analysis or just anything, any topic, you're going to find different takes. What were your thoughts on the deep shot to Christian Watson, right? Because we know, obviously, if that connects, nobody's talking about any of this. But the fact that it didn't work, I think, is why people are saying, well, why would you take a shot like that? Did you like the play call? Did you like going for it? They were up, 9 at that point? They had just scored, forced a 3-and-out or whatever it was, had the ball back, could have methodically gone down the field, burned, clocked. I liked it. I was all for it. And again, I think if it hits, nobody's talking about it. However, knowing the result and the butterfly effect of everything that happened after that moment, I think Matt LaFleur just kind of takes heat for any decision he makes, to be quite honest.
Dan?
I love the shot. How many times have we criticized Matt LaFleur for getting too passive or too conservative when he gets up with a lead? That was going to be, if they connect on that, you put yourself immediately at least in field goal range. If not scoring a touchdown on that play, that's a kill shot. That puts your team exactly where you want it to be. And the history this year has shown that the Packers are hitting on that play, or at least hitting on plays like that more often than not. And you trust your guys to go out and make the play, and it just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And, you can play hindsight 50-50 or 20-20, whatever, 1-1, whatever it is. With any sort of decision, I'd much rather the Packers lose because they're playing aggressive football than lose because they're playing conservative, try not to lose football.
Yeah.
How much time do you have? All right. So I'll try to make this as quick as I can because I have a lot of takes on this. The first thing is, I think we need to recognize that this type of play, this shot play, is in Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love's DNA. This, they're going to take a few of these every single game, no matter what. This would be something different if, like, hey, we're going to try this one time because we think we can catch. No, this is who they are. They're going to take a few of these, especially when you have Christian Watson every game. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we are not talking about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter where you've got a 9-point lead. And it's like, well, if we just run some clock here, we've 11, 12 minutes, whatever it was, left in the third quarter. Like the half of this ball game is basically still left. You can't just go into the tank and start being like, all right, long methodical drive. Yeah, it would be great if they could do that, but there's no guarantee. And so I have no issue with taking a shot at that point in the game. And if you do get that 16-point lead, if they go down and score it, you are all of a sudden now looking at a Broncos offense that has to go extremely pass heavy the rest of the game. And you are doing your defense a huge favor by basically taking the running game away from them. So I love that thought process. The next piece of it is it was there. It was the right play call in the right moment. Maybe the only thing that wasn't was it being Patrick Surtain, because that dude is insane. And he went full Superman and made a ridiculous play, which sometimes you have to tip your cap in that direction. And then the last thing I'll say is, if that's the single worst play call in the history of the world and a bad throw and a bad job by Christian Watson going up to get it. And it was just the worst by all three of them. Even if that's the case, if you would have asked me, and I'm guessing both of you guys or anybody else, if you could have a 9-point lead against Denver in the second half with Denver having the ball 1st and 10 on their own 29-yard line following that play, it's not the end of the world. It's basically a huge arm punt where you're getting it down in their territory anyway. So the fact that we're going to, look back at this in hindsight and be like, I can't believe Matt LaFleur called a deep shot. This is who they are. It's what they're going to do. I love it. I love the play call. It didn't work out. Tip your cap to Patrick Surtain. And it just sucks that everything cascaded in a god-awful domino effect immediately following that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's why it's so hard to look at this game. Like until the Micah Parsons injury, I was like, okay, this is the Packers kind of bullying one of the best teams in the league. Like, they have a really good defense. The offense is kind of doing whatever they want. And that's what we expected from this Packers offense, that they could kind of hang with the best. And if it happens now that without Micah Parsons, you're not holding teams under 20, but you can hold them under 20, even 27, right? If you can hold them under 27 and your offense can put up 30, like, there you go. It's not always pretty, but we've seen plenty of Packer teams that have operated like that in the past. And if that's what you have to do for the remainder of the season, then I think that's what you have to do. But, Jordan Love, I saw a lot of commentary about him not having a very good game. He had like a statistical career best kind of game in the first half against, again, one of the best defenses in the league. So I understand that momentum swing, and look who it is. Oh. Yes, guys, she made it.
Guys,
Perry Goldstein,
made it.
welcome
we
to
were
your own
just-
show.
Welcome to my own show. Guys, this is such a good group. What do you mean?
I put up the bat signal and you came. So of all people.
Did you pull a me and take the end train the wrong direction and go over the bridge when you weren't supposed to go over the bridge?
You did that.
I
That's
did
so
that.
cute.
Everything else I did right. Everything else we navigated perfectly, whether via everything else, walking, taxi, train. But that was the one thing I did. It was, of course, late at night too, when we still had everyone with us, and took the end train the wrong way.
Even the most seasoned New Yorkers do that sometimes. So don't worry. No, I just happened to, I don't know, every uptown train tonight was delayed, and what should normally be like a 25-minute ride ended up being 50. So that is all. That is all. Guys, did we have fun Sunday night? Like, did we had a good time watching? That was a good game, right?
You're really behind, Perry. Yeah, I don't know if how long you were on the train.
The train
But-
stopped in the Twilight Zone.
Oh, I'm joking. I'm joking. It was a nightmare.
I woke up this morning, and like for 10 seconds, I thought, I'm like, was that just a dream?
Yeah.
Like what? Like, did I like was that something I just like had like the worst possible dream, and then I like had to like kind of remind myself, like, no, like everything was real. All the pain kind of came rushing back, and yeah, that was not fun.
No, it was
Not at
not.
all.
All right, so I'm late, so I don't know what we've talked about. So carry on, but
I mean, we talked about the decision making, and then we were kind of just talking about Jordan Love and the offense. And I was saying, waiting for Andy and Dan to weigh in here, that to me, like the Micah Parsons loss, like he's arguably the worst person to lose, right? I'm not sure that anybody, would have made a greater impact to lose them. However, with the way the offense has been playing and what we saw them do against a defense like the Broncos defense, it kind of feels like you're hearkening back to the days of olden times with Aaron Rodgers and explosive offenses, where if your defense can hold them under like 27, you can hope that your offense can score 30, right? Like before, they were keeping teams under 20-ish with Micah. And without him, if you're giving up an extra touchdown, like maybe your offense has the firepower to hang.
yeah, I mean, this, but also, for those listening, Packed for SBLX said we didn't have Parsons last year and we still had a top 10 defense and still only averaged 20 points per game. My my feeling about it is if everyone else is healthy, which it sounds like everyone's going to be fine long term, right? You still have Christian, you still have Zach Tom, you get Evan Williams back, et cetera, et cetera. I still feel, hello, Jacob. Oh my God, 5 people on a live.
I know we got the all-stars hanging out.
That's crazy. I still feel like this team is poised to still win the NFC North, to still make the playoffs, etc. The part that changes for me, and this is like kind of how we felt before the season started, which is without a elite pass rush, do they have a legitimate shot to make a Super Bowl push? Right, like that's the bar at the moment. And without Micah, it's hard. It's a little hard to envision that, especially based on the way the rest of the edge rushers have been playing. I agree with you. I fully think like when this offense is firing on all cylinders, really, really hard to stop them, but you got to be able to stop the other team on the other side too. And they're going to see some really excellent offenses. So everyone was like extremely doomsday online. I don't think like the season's not over. Like it's still a very good football team. It's just I think the ceiling has changed a little bit.
Yeah, Jacob.
Well, of course, the season's not over. There's still 3 games left to play. Then the season.
Like, the season is over. Bring us to 2026. I'm like, okay, can we like take a collective deep breath? Like losing Micah sucks. But like, I think this team is still really good.
Howdy, Jacob.
Hi, Andy. Seeing you just reminded me I owe you an email. So thanks for being here for that.
Uh-oh. What email do you owe me? Just the pod?
Tomorrow's episode, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Better than the email being like, I'm not going to be able to make it because I'm doing Pax What She Said. I don't have a pod for tomorrow.
No.
You can just borrow this, Andy. You can just upload this back a day.
Deal.
But yeah, I mean, I think very valid. And I think what is different about this team, right? And the chat is kind of talking about it a little bit, is the turnovers. And I think that's what was so frustrating watching this defense yesterday, is it felt like they were doing enough. They had opportunities even after Micah, right? They still had a couple opportunities on picks to end drives. And now that you don't have a pass rush that can get after the quarterback in a millisecond, the way that they did before, they're asking a lot from their corners, and that is the area where it doesn't feel like help is on the way. And going into this one, Perry and I were going to talk about, like, obviously what's wrong, how you can mitigate the loss of Micah. And one of the things we were talking about or looking at earlier in this week was that you've got players coming back from IR, right? You've got Colin Oliver, who's a rookie, hasn't taken any snaps. You've got Brenton Cox. And you were like, wow, there's almost an abundance of riches. Like some of these guys might not even be able to make the roster because there are so many people in that edge room that you might just have to shut somebody down for the season, right? Well, not that either of them, right, are going to replace Micah Parsons by any stretch, but now it's like, how many more bodies can we bring in here to try to replace any of the productivity that you're getting from Micah? So probably not a good example to say that they would come in and replace him, because they won't. More saying that help is kind of on the way in one spot. Like, you have depth there. You don't really have that in the cornerback room.
No.
I'd be interested to see, because I think Colin Oliver, all of them, Oliver, Lloyd, and Brenton Cox, the decisions have to get made pretty quick here. I think early next week, if not by end of this week. Is it Friday?
Right?
Yeah, it's really close. So I think Oliver and Lloyd were both out for last game, whereas Brenton Cox at least has been a little bit more seemingly practicing and everything like that. So Cox, I think they will get back. Whether or not they get Oliver or Lloyd back, I think remains to be seen. So that's going to be an important part of this week. I've got to run you really quick, but just to kind of go back to your really quick point from earlier, just about the offense. I have no question that this offense can continue to put up points. And I think the defense is going to have to figure out a way to maybe play a little bit more of a risk-reward brand of football, where you're going to have to blitz more. You're going to have to probably rely on turnovers and big plays more. You're going to give up more points because of it. And that's probably going to be, maybe a problem from time to time. But I just think that you're going to have to play that way, because if you continue to play bend but don't break with no Micah Parsons, I just think it's going to be a lot of break. And I think that you're going to end up with the worst of all worlds, where they're going on long drives and they're getting touchdowns, and it doesn't go your way. So I think they're going to have to be a change up there. And just as far as like a doom and gloom thing, I think they can go in and beat Chicago this week. I think they'll be very competitive. I think they can beat Baltimore and Green Bay. I think they can beat Minnesota in Minnesota. I think they can beat the Rams in LA. I think they can beat Seattle in Seattle. I think they can do all of those things. I think they could win any hypothetical matchup in the Super Bowl. Going 4-0 on that stretch with the pass rush and where things are at is where I think that there's the bigger question. And that's where they're going to have to figure out a way to generate something different defensively. And I think the one thing you can maybe hold out hope on, and I think Maggie, you were just mentioning it, of like there was opportunities to get the interceptions. They have not got their turnover luck. Their turnovers coming in bunches as of yet. It's going to be harder with no Micah Parsons, but if all of a sudden they can start getting the turnovers that we expected them to get from Edrin Cooper and Xavier McKinney, and even these corners, I think can be better ball hawks than what they've been so far. And the offense continues to play the way that they've been playing. That's your ticket to making a run. And I think it's going to have to be started and kickstarted by turnovers.
Yeah. Maggie's still waiting for her Valentine.
I was going to say,
pick,
he's going to house call some.
She's
so
waiting
close.
for it.
Has to happen.
If he would stick his hand up like that on a quick screen that he reads, I think he would have scored a touchdown yesterday.
I feel like his brain is there and his body is, to Jacob's point, just like hasn't. Like he's like, oh, jump it. But it's like hits him in the chest. He's like, oh, I got a PBU.
It almost feels like he just doesn't trust himself. Does anyone else feel like that?
Which is weird, because in training camp, he totally does. And he is like, he makes those instinctual plays all the time, or instinctual, whatever. You get my point. He does it all the time. And it just is weird that it hasn't translated yet. But I do have to go, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Andy.
And I'll talk to all of you guys soon. Appreciate you all.
See you, Andy.
See ya.
I didn't want to be super doom and gloom while Andy was here, but
but now I'm going to turn it on.
But you're doom and gloom.
I mean, he mentioned a lot of, they could do this. They could do this. I could win the lottery tomorrow and buy, a private jet and a private island and never have to watch football again and live a peaceful life.
If you do, can I borrow a couple bucks?
If I do, it's a mighty big if. I think I trust that more than I trust. There's the thing that I always kind of point back to is, like this team could there's so much potential. I just struggled to see where guys are going to just all of a sudden kind of turn it on in 3 weeks as the team gets worse. Yeah. Like that's something, like I mentioned this on the Pack-A-Day that came out today as our post game. It's like there's really been a lot of times where this defense kind of feels like it's almost got the Aaron Rodgers effect, where like Micah's got it. Like, like everyone, like, I didn't get that pick, but it's okay because we still have Micah on this team, and this defense will find a way to do something else, explosive later on, because it'll always just happen. And I'm just kind of like, I don't see like a turnaround happening. Just click, like all of a sudden, like, oh, Micah's gone. I better start catching these interceptions, or playing better coverage, or doing something else. Like these guys are not going to quit. I think they're going to be competitive in every game they play. I just like that kind of turnaround doesn't happen just all of a sudden.
Is it then okay? Fair, totally fair. Is it then Hafley has to make adjustments knowing he doesn't have the Micah cheat code, and like just puts guys in a different position? Because I feel like even with Micah, I would have been coming on here saying Hafley's going to have to do some adjusting because these DBs had a horrible game. And that has nothing to do with Micah. And it's probably only going to get worse without his pressures. So like maybe there's just like a level of adjusting, because we've seen them be crazy even in games when Micah like doesn't have a sack, right? So I think I'm less of like, oh, this one specific player is going to all of a sudden have like their breakout moment of their career, and more like this defensive coordinator is going to have to make some tweaks to kind of maximize who's on the field.
Yeah. I think you're pretty spot on with that. Like that's really about all you can do, kind of.
Yeah. Because I think if you are going into this with that expectation, Dan, where you're like, well, Rashawn Gary is going to now have to have a sack a game, and Carrington Valentine is going to have to start picking those off, or like Xavier McKinney, like you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment, because they haven't shown that they're
that on my tombstone, man.
like all season,
It's like that scene from Moneyball, right? Like, I'm trying to tell her, they're asking, like, how do you replace Jason Giambi? And Brad Pitt's like, we can't do it. So you can't replace Micah Parsons. So what you're doing is, between Halfley having to kind of be a little more exotic and put together some of the stuff he did a year ago. And then it's not the most fun answer, because it is just as simple as some guys just have to play better. Like Rashawn Gary, you have to be more disruptive. Lucas Van Ness, you have to play like a first-round pick. Somebody on the interior of the defensive line has to kind of start replacing Devontae Wyatt, which is another like piece of this puzzle that has been missing for the last 2 weeks. So the issue with blitzing and doing some of that stuff is these DBs that we're talking about. Now there's going to be a lot more one-on-ones for those opportunities. And some of those guys, they have to play better as well. So it's not the greatest scenario. I think the situation you end up in now is like 2011, not 2014, 2016, those teams where the defenses were terrible. And it was just basically like, Aaron, save it. And you've seen how small your margin for error is when the offense feels that need to score every time they touch it. And with all due respect to Jordan Love, who at halftime of yesterday's game might have been the MVP leader in the clubhouse, he's not 2011 Aaron Rodgers. And nobody is, to be fair. Like, that's one of the greatest seasons that's ever been produced by a starting quarterback. But asking your offense to be that group against some of the defenses that are going to be really good in this postseason. Like, Green Bay doesn't really play a good defense. The rest, Minnesota kind of, but that's a high quit potential game. But Green Bay doesn't play a good defense the rest of the season. But once they get into the postseason, you'll play the Rams, you'll play the Seahawks, you'll play Philadelphia, you'll play whoever it is you end up matched up against, saying, hey, you got to score 30 and never punt. Tough sledding.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, in all of this, it feels better than looking at your roster and seeing Ladarius Gunter going up against Julio Jones. Like that is the silver lining in all of this, right? As we're talking about the doom and gloom of this defense. And again, like, everybody can feel how they want to feel, right? It was just absolutely gut-wrenching to see him grabbing his leg. And you could tell he knew right away. Like, we all knew watching. Like, it was awful. But you still have X. You still have Evan Williams. It sounds like he'll be back potentially in a week or two, right? Hopefully by the postseason. Like, the Packers have done enough to set themselves up in a good position to still be able to go produce. And I don't think it's like, will they get into the postseason, right? It's just, where's your seeding going to be? And unfortunately, what's gross, I think, about this whole scenario is that whether you're the 2nd seed or the 7th seed, unless things get really, really wild in the NFC West, it feels like you're going to play somebody in the division again in wild card weekend. So, like, your hope in that is that you're the one hosting. And even then, like, I think it was McCarthy that always used to say, like, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Like, it sucks to play your division in the playoffs. But there's pieces here. And, the comment said it. Dan and I talked about it at the very top of the show. Friend of the show, Dusty Evely, friend of the show, Mina Kimes, had a conversation about this earlier.
What a flex.
It's just, you have to get more creative. Like, I think Cooper's gonna be involved a lot. I think LVN, as he ramps up, is gonna be huge in the A gap. And JJ Nigbare, like, all the guys that were depth pieces are suddenly going to get their opportunities to either get paid by Green Bay or paid elsewhere. And however you look at it, it's an audition for somebody.
I don't know if you guys saw this since we've been on the Micah Parsons thing. Did you see what Ryan Clark said on Monday Night Countdown about the Micah Parsons injury and how Bo
Perry
Nix's
was on a train.
Perry was on a media blackout. It was like Bo Nix's mobility is what caused the Micah Parsons injury. Bo Nix being so mobile and so able to maneuver in the pocket and escape pressure is what caused a misstep from Micah Parsons and resulted in the injury.
I'm sorry. If he didn't tear his ACL against Caleb Williams, you're not making that argument to me. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Jaden
I mean,
Daniels, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
like,
everyone knows that no contact injuries are flukes. Like, that's why we call them no contact injuries. It's like, you step weird and it happens. It's an unfortunate part of this game. I mean, how many Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL the same day? Like, we do blaming that on? He scrambles too much? Like, get out of here. Get out of
Yeah,
here with that.
I think this is interesting too because we're talking about the players, right? Like Jeff Heffley, same conversation. Go make your money, Jeff. Like if we talk about him being a head coaching candidate, and I think
Not
he
too
is.
much, okay?
Right.
Because I want you to stick around.
But yeah, like how depending on how this goes, what he does with this defense while losing a cornerstone piece of your franchise, like that says a lot. And I think it was on Andy's show, not to give him any credit because I hate doing that. But he was talking about like your production and what you expect, from these pieces, and that like this all factors into that is what these guys are going to do with the opportunities that they have.
Yeah.
If you want room for optimism too, is like Parsons wasn't in Green Bay until September 1st, right? So, or give or take.
Yeah.
So all of the offseason programming and everything like that was built around the idea of basically the guys who are here plus Kenny Clark and Wyatt are going to be the guys who are going to push this defense. And the Packers, I don't know what your guys' takes were prior to the Parsons trade, but like I was teetering with, do they make the playoffs or not? But the Packers thought they were
deep playoff push
without Parsons.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, not out
I'm
of
an
the question.
optimist.
Well, the
Yep, you know
pass
that.
rush now like becomes a bit of it's a weaker point, and like that was their Achilles heel last year, and that's why they didn't make a deep playoff push.
Right. So they were able to build the entire plane, the entire offseason out of, we don't have this super freak in the middle of everything, but we also have Wyatt and Clark.
Well,
There
we
is
don't have
some
Wyatt
room,
and Clark now,
right? So there is some room for maybe, I don't know if optimism is the right word, because obviously you're not optimistic when you
Well,
lose
I
Micah
think
Parsons.
yourself out of
But
this.
I think what you have to be optimistic about is that this offense unequivocally looks better than it did in
100%.
2024.
Yeah.
100%.
So Jordan Love is playing out of his mind. The fact that Christian Watson is going to be here for the stretch should make everyone like take a deep. I mean, that was like a bit of a consolation prize, obviously, but to lose him too would have been absolutely devastating. Reed looks like he hasn't even missed a single game. I thought Matthew Golden took some nice steps forward in this. Like, you're still holding out hope that he can do a little bit more. And Josh Jacobs is starting to get more explosives. Like, this offense should be what the optimism is about.
Luke Musgrave looks better every week.
What's up
Like-
with that? Like, okay. So
Okay, second round pick doing second round pick stuff.
the tight end we've all forgotten about because we love our other one.
Did anybody
don't
else
know.
have like
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers broken collarbone flashbacks when Watson landed and like
Oh,
you
of
saw
course.
the replays?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's also the point, like, and every fan base probably feels this way, but you when you get burned this many times with injuries, you get really doomsday. Like, I saw people posting that he broke his collarbone. I'm like, who said that? His dad just tweeted that he's fine.
Mhm.
Chill. Who said that? Calm down.
Yeah, they didn't even do an X-ray in the stadium, like so
Right.
they wouldn't have known.
No,
that.
and they only took him to the hospital because they're worried about his lungs,
Correct.
which
So
that's scary.
bullet dodged. Bullet dodged.
Yeah.
100%.
Whew. No, I mean, I you're on a show of two people who are optimistic fans who like very much believe in this team and what they can do. And I mean, you heard what I said earlier, how I feel about like the ceiling of this team. Of course, it's changed. I'm not delusional. But every other team in the NFC has weaknesses. And I think the Packers offense is a force to be reckoned with regardless. And I think I would have felt like this defense would have struggled against any of the high-powered offenses. Like, would I feel good even with Parsons about playing Matt Stafford right now? Like,
Right.
hell no, like that Rams offense looks crazy. So yeah, I think it was always going to end up being on Love and that side of the ball to like finish it out.
I'll say one more thing before I'm gonna jump. Speaking of the offense, I think we talk about, Jacob brought up a good point that before Micah Parsons, we were coming into this season with pretty much everybody that was on that defense already, that we were already expecting this to be who was supposed to be here. So you can probably already scheme up something, around that as well. I think what's really going to be the crux of success moving forward, and I think someone brought it up in the chat, is the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because there's been some pretty high highs since the new amalgamation, formed around Sean Ryan at center. And then there's been some really low lows. And really, I mean, it's everything this offense needs to do is going to be centered around, can the offensive line keep Jordan Love upright, give him time to read the field and make the read that he needs to do. And then obviously also give Josh Jacobs in this running game the ability to create explosive plays and take the pressure off of Love, because every time this offense has struggled, you can go back and point to offensive line issues being a major part of that. So yeah, that needs to be not addressed, but that needs to be like a focal point of success around this team if they want to, make any sort of push down the stretch. So.
And I mean, you saw it. It was a tale of two halves, right? Like the offense did whatever they wanted in Denver, and then Zach Tom gets out, and all of a sudden Jordan Love is pressured on over 50% of his dropbacks, and like you can't live that way on offense. And I didn't think Kennard played like poorly. I think it was just a result of him not being Zach Tom. Like that's just what happens when you have exceptional tackles, and we saw it, the same way with David Bakhtiari. Unfortunately, when he went down before the postseason push, like sometimes there are certain losses that are more insurmountable than others, which feels horrible to say because these are human beings. But for the Packers, it was just kind of a stacked deck of like, pick 3 guys on offense, 3 guys on defense that you can't win this game without. And those are just the straws that got plucked in Denver. And, thankfully it sounds like the other injuries are, doable, likely to be back at least by the postseason. So if you get in there, like, we've seen the Packers win it all as a wild card, right? Like anything can happen. That's the optimism that, you come to this show for because you love it. But really, like, you just got to get in there. Sometimes you perform horribly, like so many wild card teams we've seen. And other times you win it all, like the Steelers or the Packers. So
exactly. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thank you
Dan.
so much
Thanks,
for
Dan.
out. It's good to catch up with everybody. Jacob, you're also here.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Anybody else? No, it's Jacob. You got any thoughts? You have your insider details now.
You broke news today, my dude.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a bit of a whirlwind, and it was just like passing conversation. But I was like, if this turns out to not be true, then I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, I guess. But thankfully, about a half an hour after I said something, Ian Rappaport did. But that's kind of the sigh of relief, right? Because if you're going to have to play, fast break football, for lack of a better phrasing, Green Bay's offense can't function at a level where they have to score 30 a game if Watson's on the sidelines.
Right.
He's just that force multiplier, the skeleton key, whatever euphemism you guys want to use for that. He makes everyone else on the offense better, and that includes Jayden Reed. One day, hopefully in the not so distant future, we'll get to see the offense with Jordan Love fully healthy, with Christian Watson, Jayden Reed, and Tucker Kraft all fully healthy as well. And hopefully that's sometime in September of 2026, since unfortunately it won't happen this year. But they are still a very good offense. I think they can outscore anybody. The problem is with, Andy talking about having to play more of that high variance stuff, is one of the concerns you had coming into the year was even last year as they got their takeaways. I think the Packers had like 12 interceptions last year or something like that, and Xavier McKinney had 8 of them. Right. So to expect him to replicate, and I think 3 of them were Jair Alexander. So one guy who is here, one guy famously not here anymore. That was always a concern coming into the season, was the ball skills or lack thereof in the secondary. And now it's Evan Williams has 3, McKinney has 2, and Nixon obviously with the game winner a couple of weeks ago against Chicago. But that's the only interception by a defensive back this year. So high variance football can be a lot of fun on defense. The problem is if they're not going to make plays on the ball, then
it's really not fun.
No, and you mentioned Matt Stafford. I mean, if that's who you're going to have to go through, like Stafford doesn't make a lot of mistakes anymore. So, and they have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. So have fun with that one.
Have fun with that one. I mean, he's the MVP this season for a reason. Like, he's just absolutely crushing every opponent.
And this is a guy who had like a broken back coming into the season. Like the reason I didn't pick the Rams to go to the Super Bowl was because I didn't trust that he wasn't going to be injured.
Yeah, he's amazing. We'll see, guys. We'll see what happens. Chicago is going to be really interesting.
I mean, you guys are naturally optimists, you've said, but I feel fine about that game. Like
I do too. I mean, I think Chicago's me smelling blood, and you just have to this team is going to have some kind of rallying cry to, because it's one thing to kind of let the Broncos game get out of hand, right? Because it's just you're demoralized. I mean, what were they going to do?
Right.
What do you do after that? I think any team who goes through something like that, you're not winning this. I mean, I'm going to win this game at this point, but you have to bounce back from that and be like, okay, that sucked. Now we are back to being the football team that we know we are, and we're looking forward. So they can't let their biggest rival pounce because they smell blood.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Matt LaFleur said, nobody feels sorry for anybody, right? The Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. Everybody loses star players. That's part of playing football. The Chiefs just lost Mahomes. Perry said it earlier, same day. What are the odds of that happening, for the NFL to lose two of its biggest stars? But yeah, I think it's a very winnable game. And I thought that the Packers let some opportunities get away from them last week. I thought that could have been a more dominant win. And I think that they have every opportunity to go out there in Chicago and prove it, right? But again, you have to put it together. You get knocked down, you have a lot of reasons now to get up, right? The rallying around Micah Parsons, the rallying of this is Chicago, we don't lose to Chicago, the rallying of trying to win the North. There are a lot of opportunities for bulletin board material here, that you need to get up for. And part of that is still knowing that the second seed is right in front of you.
Yes.
Totally.
You have an opportunity. If the first seed, if somebody upsets the number one seed, the playoffs run through Lambeau. That is your opportunity to host until you get to the Super Bowl. So there's plenty for them to be, getting up for. And I think they'll respond accordingly. At least I hope. But again, maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
I can tell you, coming out of the first Chicago game, the rivalry stuff and all that, some people have speculated that's a little more trivialized just with player movement, transfer portal, all that stuff in college. They care. They were not shy about the fact at all that they view themselves as the big brother and Chicago as the little brother or anything like that. So I don't anticipate them not having the juice for this game, so to speak. And like you mentioned, Maggie, I think if the Evan Williams play that didn't hit the ground but was called incomplete, which I still haven't figured out, and the Luke Musgrave play is called a catch, that's 42-21 instead of 28-21. So
yeah,
I think Green Bay's better. I think they're still better even without Parsons. And as people make noise in the background here, but I think that, like I said, I think they're a better team. I still think that's true. I think they're better than Baltimore. I think they're better than Minnesota. So even with all of this, it's still a really good opportunity for them to finish the season with 12 wins and a division title, which is something that, 2021 doesn't sound like it was that long ago, but that is the last time the Packers have won the division. So it's been a while. And if nothing else, they're not going to hang a banner for it if they don't go to the Super Bowl, obviously, but that is an accomplishment to go into 2026.
Especially for Jordan Love, right? And this would be his first time winning the division as the starting quarterback of the franchise, which is really significant. But yeah, I think this is a great place to wrap up. We have Perry and I will have our preview show, obviously coming out later this week. Jacob, tell the fine people where they can find you before we wrap.
Yeah, at Jacob Westendorf on socials. I break news now one time, and then a bunch of stuff I've got. I will be in Chicago this week, but not at the game. If you have never been to Soldier Field, 10 out of 10, do not recommend. It's the worst place. It's the worst place to get in and out of ever. I've only ever been there for a concert, never for a football game. But yeah, check out my stuff there. And then one other place that I haven't written anything for yet, so I can't say where yet, but something else is on the horizon.
Awesome. Find Jacob, find Dan, find Andy, Perry, me. Pack's what she said. Thanks for listening. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.